I'm Sarah Russell.
I'm JQ Walker.
I'm Hind, and we are
The Neurodivergent Report, a research-based podcast by and for neurodivergent brains.
In each episode, we'll explore topics relating to neurodiversity and coping strategies by reviewing the literature and discussing current topics.
We will also have interview episodes where we sit down with experts in the field and listeners like you, with the hope that together we can all learn to heal in community.
Oh gosh, that's how it started for Dory.
Who is Dory? Like the fish?
Yeah, she got stuck in a loop.
Yeah. I don't think I watched Finding Dory. Or is this in Finding Nemo?
Finding Nemo?
I saw Finding Nemo.
Yeah, just keep swimming, That's all she knew. That's all she remembered. She freaking cracked, and all she could remember was to just keep swimming. That is like the...
I never saw it like that. That was such a dark interpretation. I'm here for it.
Yeah. I feel like you shined a new light on me for Finding Nemo. But
Listen, they pushed Dory to the max.
But one thing I wanted to say really quick, because I could imagine someone watching the first episode and being like, wait a minute, they're talking like they're going to have Abbie on some other time. And then they clearly record on the same day. So I just really, okay, we got to change, I'm sure. But even if we just said something like, oh, we're actually decided we're going to record the research episode now. I feel like continuity wise, that would be a benefit. I feel like people would be like, oh.
Yeah, all we have to say is hey, so Abbie's in Australia and it's really hard to book with her. So we're just going to do it right now.
We're doing back-to-back episodes, baby. Yeah. Research time.
Yeah, really, like I said already so many times, I've just been so excited to have Abbie on.
Sorry it's taking so long.
There's
a lot of factors going into
we have a stride going. This is actually really perfect timing because we're just starting to get into a groove with research episodes, and at first I had to be okay with not having it be a consistent thing, even though it's it's okay because it takes so much more of us.
Quality over quantity,
Yeah, for sure.
If you're pumping these out every week, that's...
I know, and I had to think, we weren't just starting to look at papers and then talk about them. We weren't starting to, some of our episodes are what is neurodivergence? Let's talk about all of the symptoms in mental health.
Yeah.
Part one.
Yeah.
I think it's really important though. I think,
especially now as it's getting wiped from the internet.
Yeah.
Totally. Oh my God. I can't even.
I know.
I've got a couple of clients in research over there and it's just.
I'll say a little prayer for them.
Yeah.
All the time. I think that I'm just going to go on an ideological rant for a second, but I think that research has its, and we would talk about this, Sarah, when we were doing prep for podcasts and talking about research and stuff. Research absolutely has its place, but research trades nuance for specificity, and I think it's really important to embed it in a narrative and the wider social context, right? Otherwise it's it loses, I think, its value and its and its contextual meaning.
It's a principle. I was going to say a principle in a vacuum. It's not exactly a vacuum other than a very controlled specific thing like you're saying. And if you don't apply that into real life, and by that you have the anecdotes of how it shows up in real life, you're missing a lot. So
yeah, that's how we end up asking questions like, do autistics have empathy?
Yeah.
It's
and the lived experience part being important, because I'm going to plug it right here, is exactly why we want to have neurodivergent folks who are listening to come on the show. We have a form on our website that's linked in the show notes. If you want to share about your lived experience, we want to hear it. So
I'll try and wrangle some of my friends. Everyone's slowly getting diagnosed now.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Let's add them to the Discord.
Yeah. In the neurodivergent hive. Yeah.
They kind of emerge and they're like, hey, Abbie. I'm like, yeah. They're like, do you think I've got ADHD? I'm like, okay.
Do I?
Yes.
Do I? Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
We're doing this.
Yes.
You flock together, my friend. Hate to tell you.
I've been waiting for this day.
Here's orientation packet I've prepared.
Yes.
I do have one.
Stop
I've got like a whole thing that I've written.
I saw a TikTok too that was like, it's like, oh, do you want like a creepily observant list of reasons why I think you have ADHD? Or do you just want like the nice simple version, which was just yes. Yeah.
Bless.
Amazing. I love that. I don't have that many friends, which is also a super neurodivergent trait, but of the ones that I do attract, they all tend to be like fellow weirdos.
Yeah.
So I love that. There's just it's not I mean, like you just can't really find that much shared ground with people that don't get you and can't communicate with you well. And, you know, one thing that we do know is that neurotypicals and neurodivergents don't communicate well because they're, I mean, inherently operating from like different brain systems.
Yeah.
With different sets of norms. Anyway.
What I have.
Let me.
Sorry.
No, sorry, Jay. I'm going to make a note for myself to send you. I mean, look, this was like just someone's brainworm, but on TikTok, someone had a really interesting theory about that. The crux of it being that neurodivergent people will try and talk authentically from self to self. Did you see it?
I saw this. Yes,
rather than ego to ego.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Oh my.
Right? And this actually relates to what I was going to say, which is something, because yes, neurodivergent people, I think, want to connect to like the sense of self. And something is like, you know, maybe over time with a neurotypical person that is more comfortable with themselves, or just neurotypical people that have a really strong sense of self and not huge egos. Like I have neurotypical friends who I believe fit that description. But at the same time,
love that for you.
I feel very lucky. But at the same time, like, these are also friends who, like, I still feel very connected with, but on some level, it's like we haven't had the same experiences and our brains still don't work the same way. And I think, like, normalizing the idea that, like, in a perfect world, you have these deep connections with everybody and every friend could fulfill every friendship need you might have. But there are people who, like, it's still valuable to have them in your lives, but, like, maybe it's just like, you know, not as deep of a friendship. So maybe you don't put as much like time into it, but like you're still thankful to have it. And that person, you're still thankful to have them in your lives and they still fulfill some friendship needs. But it's just that not every friendship is going to fulfill every single friendship need.
100%. I've got a friend who I'm pretty sure is neurotypical, and she's like my fun friend. Like if I want to go and do something or if I want to go and see something, like what do? We went and picked peonies in the hills near, you know, an hour and a half, and it was none of my other friends would ever, first of all, come on such short notice, and secondly, like if it's not in their wheelhouse, they're not going to do it. But she was like, I'll do whatever. And so we went and picked flowers all day. It was great.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just to have energy at the drop of a hat.
Oh my God.
Sounds great.
I know, it makes you sick, doesn't it?
The new American dream.
Yeah, like seeing people who are like not hypermobile, who are not neurodivergent, just have like endless energy. I'm just like, good for you. Good for you, man.
Use it. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my friend.
Okay.
Well.
So gosh.
We're getting into it right now.
We are here. We are here again with Abbie J from Super Connected, and we love her. Hi, Abbie.
Hello.
We are doing another episode because Abbie holds a lot of knowledge. We sort of teased it in her interview episode, but Abbie holds a lot of knowledge about autonomic nervous system function, and she came with this amazing graphic that we're going to talk through. We were just really hoping to pick her brain about all of these things.
Sorry, it looked like you, like, did you forget that you brought a graphic?
I'm like, which one was it? I'm like,
you're like, what?
You made this.
Yay.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. Should we share it while we talk through it?
Oh.
I think so.
Yeah, let me do that.
I'm going to turn the brightness up on my camera because
the
sun is slowly setting.
Okay.
I did wheel throwing on Sunday and my whole body hurts.
That's
like a
lot.
tire?
No, pottery, like on a pottery wheel.
Oh.
Yeah, my hand, I don't know if you can see, but my hand's still like orange.
I'm sorry, did you say wheel throwing?
Yeah.
Like throwing?
They call it wheel throwing when you like make like pots and bowls on the wheel, on the pottery wheel.
Oh.
You put the slab on the wheel and you spin it.
Yeah.
Cool. I didn't know
it's
what it was
weird.
called.
I know. I imagined you throwing tires
Yes,
until
I
you
was like,
specified.
Okay, cool.
I was like, that's
that
a
makes me
lot
feel
for a
good that you think I
disabled
could do that.
like, more power to you, man. That's awesome.
That sounds like a good nervous system practice for expressing anger.
Yes, get it out.
Yeah.
Throw that tire.
Yeah.
I could probably, even if I was super angry, I'd be like, "Ugh," and then it would just
just roll it over.
yeah. Yes. But
all right,
we have something very fun here to cover. We have a fun, beautiful graphic. Abby, could you walk us through what we're looking at here?
This is a resource that I made for clients to, as best I can, to help synthesize polyvagal theory and nervous system states to help clients, and I use this sometimes for myself now, to identify what state I'm in and either like sensations or how much tension is in my body or what kind of thoughts I'm having. And then, you know, that can sometimes be enough. Like sometimes it's just enough to be like, okay, I feel overwhelmed and stuck and I can't make a decision. I'm in freeze. It makes sense that, you know, I can't start writing this article right now. And I think that can create a choice point for people, or at least create a choice point for me to think about how I'd like to respond to the information my mind and my body are giving me. And so on the right-hand side, there are some examples of things that you can do to help navigate those states and move out if you want to. But, you know, it's certainly not exhaustive. It's meant to just sort of be a quick summary that you can sort of help, like a map, I guess, figure out where you are on the map.
Helps with the decision fatigue, helps with that working memory piece. It does look like a map. I think it's super cute. I also really love the attention and energy bars that you have here.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
just in case somebody isn't watching the video version, should we just walk through quickly what we're looking at?
Yeah, we should do that, I suppose. Let's see. Okay, so basically we are looking at a flow chart of the autonomic nervous system states. Again, the autonomic nervous system is the automatic one, you know, the one that controls things that happen without you consciously choosing to do them, like your heart beating, you know, for example. But it also controls sort of you shifting into this fight or flight state. You don't consciously get to choose that.
So we're looking at Abbie's autonomic nervous system ladder, where on the left side, it's kind of a diagram of the different states of the nervous system. And then on the right side, it's ways to honor those different system states. And it's color organized and it's beautiful. So each of the 4 states has two dimensions we're looking at of like tension and energy. In like the safe, like the top state is like your base state, your safe state, your connected state, your social state. So that's low tension and high energy, which makes sense. So then as we go down a little bit, let's say you're getting some stress in your system. That's going to be the fight or flight state. And that's high tension and high energy. You keep going and you get into the freeze state. So that's high tension, but low energy because you're frozen. And then the shutdown state at the very bottom, where it's low tension and low energy. And another lovely thing about this diagram is that each of the 4 states kind of has like a little speech bubble with examples of things you might be thinking or might like that encapsulate that state well. So in that last shutdown state, for example, like I can't, or I have nothing left to give. These are things that would kind of well encapsulate what it feels like to be in a shutdown. And again, the right side has things you can do to navigate those 4 states.
I think the thing that draws my attention right away is this integration of executive functioning and autonomic nervous system stuff. Because I think that has been a major like
school of
like a
thoughts.
wedge.
Yeah, school of thoughts not seeing eye to eye.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah,
totally.
Well, maybe I could jump in and talk about
I guess
the difference between let me look at what I wrote there.
It just says the truth isn't that executive functioning models are wrong. It's that they're incomplete.
Yeah, big time. Okay, I can definitely start there. Let me just
sort of like executive functioning is what happens when you are regulated and physiologically safe.
I don't take meds anymore. You know?
You know what? I don't take ADHD meds anymore either.
Me neither.
Yeah. And my memories, I mean, when I'm really tired and dysregulated, it's not good. And that's okay. I know why.
And that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, let's
Honestly, those
talk
meds
about...
never helped with my memory anyway. I was just
No.
really fast at finding stuff.
Yeah. It gave me the boost. But like, I think, I mean, this is not podcast stuff, but I think that for me personally, it was overriding my body's need for rest.
Same boat right here. Yeah.
And I think it's, you know, I think that's why in some ways ADHD isn't treated with the seriousness that I think it deserves, because we have medications that just keep people up and productive.
Yeah.
But I'm getting a bit political, and I will stop that.
No,
I mean,
that's
we're
okay.
all about
Is welcome on this show.
Yeah.
I did a whole post about why I'm always political.
Yeah.
I did see that, and I listened to it, and
Which, by the way,
I feel like I've been media trained or something.
Oh, yeah. Just because I feel like this is the first time that I've heard of like the 2 models be used like in conjunction to explain, like to use the ANS model to explain executive functioning. And I feel I'm having like what is it? What am I thinking? I'm having a
epiphany.
Yes, thank you. An epiphany, because like this makes so much sense. Like instead of like, oh yeah, just these people inherently have executive functioning issues, it makes sense that like they're just in a state of fight or flight or freeze or shut down. Yeah.
Big time. I think what has been really interesting about, and I haven't looked at the research in a little while in the last couple of months, so it's interesting to dive back into the research in preparation for the podcast, because there are I've got 4 here, but there were, you know, like a plethora of studies and reviews related to the autonomic nervous system and ADHD and neurodivergence, which is completely different to even like, I reckon 18 months, 2 years ago, they were quite difficult to find. So I'm really, it's really heartening to see that this is being taken seriously and investigated to this degree. So I'm really happy about that. But I think that coming from, I guess, from a background of, you know, with what I think is, or what I understand to be one of the, I guess, the most dominant narratives about ADHD is that it's about executive dysfunction and dopamine dysregulation, essentially. And so addressing those things directly has been, I think, a significant part of what, I guess, ADHD support looks like. And as someone with ADHD, something that I've tried to force upon myself for a little while before figuring out that my nervous system doesn't like being forced to do stuff. So I think that fundamentally speaking, from looking at the research, we now have some emerging evidence that it's, you know, it's not that the executive functioning and the dopamine models are wrong. It's that, as I've written here, it's that they're incomplete. And I will die on this hill that executive functioning is an emergent property of a regulated nervous system. So if you are regulated, if you have enough energy and physiological safety in your system, your executive functioning will work just fine. And this is essentially based on the idea that the prefrontal cortex is downstream of the autonomic state. So my hero, Deb Dana, she's a clinician and a consultant and an author and an international lecturer on polyvagal theory informed work with trauma, and a beautiful scientific communicator, says that story follows state. And I would also say that executive functioning follows state, and good decision making follows state, connection follows state, all of those things. So our nervous system state is where we begin. And so I think that helps explain why nervous system work helps build the foundation that executive functioning strategies can sit on top of, if that is also something that you need. But I think it speaks to that experience that I think a lot of us have, which is like, I know exactly what I need to do, I just have no idea why I can't do it. And the reason you can't do it is because your nervous system doesn't have enough energy or physiological safety. I mean, that sounds very simplistic. It's, you know, the solution isn't as simplistic as that. It's quite complicated and individual, but that's the fundamental thesis statement.
Yeah, and it's even more frustrating, I think, to not be able to explain that's what's going on.
Yeah.
only to sort of be left with the somatic experience of that, sort of like the physical symptoms of dysregulation, you know? We're talking like possible chest anxiety, you know, maybe we've got like actual burning down the limbs, you know?
Yeah.
It super depends on how stressed you are.
100%.
How
And
much
then
inflammation your body has.
then if the lighting is, you know, if you're in a space where the lighting is too much for you, or you can hear buzzing, or, you know, our body is an instrument for detecting what is going on in our external and our internal environment. That process is called neuroception. So through neuroception, constantly our system, you know, with our eyes, our skin, hearing, all of our sense organs is basically detecting safety cues and danger cues, right? And so, you know, we can think of this as like, you know, the burden of danger cues. You know, if there are too many danger cues and not enough safety cues, then we will kick into dysregulation. And a danger cue might be something as simple as needing to pee, right? If you need to pee and you're not going, we're not responding to the nervous system. And I think I said in the last episode, if you listen to your body whisper or your nervous system whisper, you don't have to hear it scream. I'm going to leave it there because it's going to make it more complicated.
That's like this whole topic in a nutshell.
I know.
No, you're doing great. Yeah, I feel like over the past few years, I have seen a lot of coaches, neurodivergent individuals talking about how meltdowns are not sort of innate autistic traits, but more like just symptoms of dysregulation.
Yeah.
And there are so many of those sort of ADHD distress cues as well.
Yeah.
It's sort of the whole thing. It's sort of the whole problem, actually.
That's
Totally.
kind
Like
of
all
the
you're
thing.
seeing is distress symptoms, actually.
Yeah.
Totally. And I think, you know, it speaks to,
And hugs.
Totally. And I think, you know, I think it's also important in these sorts of conversations to talk about where the idea and the hope is to, you know, internally and externally support someone enough to create physiological and psychological safety. So the prefrontal cortex comes back online, executive functioning comes back online, connection to self, connection to others, all of those things. But I think it's also really, really important, particularly in a time like this, in a global time like this, to acknowledge that the external world is very loud, very bright, very distressing at times. So it is completely understandable that, you know, I mean, I'm struggling to stay grounded a lot of the time. And this is my job. And it's important to me to try and walk the walk if I'm talking the talk, but it can be really difficult.
I've heard that from more than one therapist lately.
Yeah, managing my own on the cliff of burnout, of course. You know, so I think that we neurodivergent people have a great capacity to moralize and have expectations about our behavior and what we can do, and can use things like, and I've done this is one I'm kind of tongue-in-cheek about it a little bit, is to use nervous system work as another way to shame myself for not doing enough or not being regulated enough. You know, and I think it's just important to, you know, that's also part of the work, shaming and moralizing our danger cues for the nervous system, right?
Yeah.
And so this really is about, like, from a foundational level, being with exactly what is happening in your system, right? You know, and to the best of our ability without editorializing or blaming or anything like that. It's just, this makes sense based on my experience, and it couldn't be any different. I don't like it, but this is what's happening.
I'm going to pull us in a direction that only Abbie could have foreseen because she put the paper here. First of all, pupilometry. I'm sorry.
Yo, right?
Pupilometry.
I'm sorry. What? So basically, they looked at people's pupils. Okay. But I'm mostly interested in what they found here, which is that kids with ADHD tended to have larger resting pupils.
Yes.
And slower dilation response, which means like their eyes like dilated slower than the neurotypical kids, suggesting a sympathetic and parasympathetic sort of dysregulation.
Yes.
First of all, whoa,
Yeah.
I can see so good in the dark, but I also, like, it takes a while for my eyes to adjust. And I'm just right now like, wait a minute.
No, and like what's crazy is that like I have been told before, like, whoa, your pupils are like really big. And I remember seeing like anecdotes on TikTok of being like, does anyone ever like notice that sometimes like ADHD or autistic people have bigger pupils, like just resting pupils? And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. So I know I'm being too hard on myself, but
Contributes to that manic pixie girl thing.
yeah. But like I feel so silly. I feel so silly like knowing like you have this data point. You have the data points of just like what the common experiences are for neurodivergent people, and to like not put it together that these are all like signs of distress or being like in a fight or flight mode. Like it's crazy. Also, really quick, I'm gonna go turn my light on because it's getting darker and darker in here. So I'll be back in 1 second.
That was crazy. I know. Did the sun set while we were on the call? Like,
no, it's 10:45 here.
No.
Okay, this is slightly better.
You're fine. Don't worry about it. It is really hard to record at night. I've been like on and off of the mute because I have 2 children in the house with me. They are in the house with me, and they are loud.
You've been doing great. I only heard them once.
Thank you. Yeah.
You did good. You're doing good.
Thank you. So don't worry about it. Yeah, this one really took me by surprise. I mean, it's not too often that we see an objective physical trait difference.
100%. And I think that the beautiful thing that I love about this paper, this particular study, is it overlaps really beautifully with what we know about heart rate variability. As well.
What do we know about heart rate variability?
Heart rate variability is essentially a measurement that is used to, what's the best way to describe it?
It's sort of like the ranges of your heart rate.
Yeah, so basically what it refers to is like the fluctuations between beats. So there isn't a like homogeneous, like exactly 1 second between beats or something. There is just slight variability between beats, right? And what that indicates is if you have a high heart rate variability, so if there's lots of variation between beats, right? What that suggests is that, and I'm going to talk about it, I guess, from a more somatic polyvagal perspective, is that you are embodied, right? You are in your body is detecting internal and external signals and constantly responding to what is going on in your environment, right? Internal and external environment. If you have low heart rate variability, that suggests you are dysregulated and largely responding to the narrative and internal stress, right? The more dysregulated we are, the less connected we are to our external and internal world, right? You might get, for example, I'm just trying to think of what happens for me, like if I'm in a freeze response, I might get stuck in thought loops and scrolling on my phone, right? I'm not really taking in whatever is happening on my phone. I may not notice that I need to go to the toilet. I may not notice that, I probably wouldn't even notice that there was a stone in my shoe that was annoying me, right? Yeah. All that stuff is still happening, but what my heart rate variability would probably be quite low in a freeze response because what I am paying attention to is very emotionally salient to me because that's what my nervous system is saying, that we're very stressed and we're in danger, right? And so it makes sense that you would turn your attention towards that, but it's not taking in any information from the environment, which is what in a grounded and calm state you would be doing. And so it makes sense from if we're talking about a slower dilation response and larger resting pupils, that overlaps quite beautifully with a lower heart rate variability, which we know from earlier research that kids with ADHD have a lower heart rate variability.
Wow, the autonomic nervous system is crazy.
This just makes me want to like shout this all from the rooftops like every day so everybody knows about this.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
It is. Right. And I think, beautifully, like in the paper, they were talking about like behaviors that are related, distractibility and overstimulation, zoning out. It's just because the body is stressed to the point where it can't track or adapt to the environment that it's in. That's it.
Oh my God.
And we know we have more sensitive nervous systems. We know that. We know there's less synaptic pruning. We know people with ADHD are 5 times more likely to have complex PTSD, which is related to autonomic dysfunction. It is all connected.
Yeah. Oh my God. This is amazing.
Regular PTSD has been connected with like autoimmune conditions turning on.
And complex PTSD. Big time.
Yeah. Yep.
Big time. And actually, from I guess from a somatics and a coaching perspective, I really, the eyes, I mean, this is a little bit adjacent, but the eyes, there's lots of really tiny muscles around the eyes, and we've taken a lot of information and communicate a lot of information with our eyes, and we use them. I mean, you know, a lot of us are on screens and stuff a lot. So, you know, eye exercises, I mean, you know, we were talking about EMDR in the last episode. Even just moving your eyes from side to side can be something that's quite regulating, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were talking about the seaweed last night. If that's something that's not accessible to you, you can just slowly move your eyes from side to side, which I think can be a really lovely nervous system support to help your eyes soften. And then I guess if you want to, you can go and see if your dilation response speeds up or not in the mirror.
Do you know what vagal toning is?
I think, but if I'm wrong, we'll get into it. Sarah, this was the one thing that I thought that I knew about the vagus nerve. And that like low vagal tone is when you have like low variability, kind of with the heart rate stuff, like same thing. And then high vagal tone is like you have high variability. Let's go. Cool.
Big time. And you can stimulate, you know, there's a lot of like, I guess in the therapeutic space at the moment, there's a lot of talk about stimulating the vagus nerve. The idea of that is to promote a more balanced parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system response, and essentially a stress reduction to improve heart rate variability. And some of it's like cold water exposure and things like that.
So
and
it's like sort of like forcing your body to change states, though.
Yeah. And so I think that there is some merit to, like, you know, for example, you know, you could argue that going and getting a massage is an exercise in vagal toning, right? Or stimulating your vagus nerve. I talk about singing and humming a lot. That is something that can improve vagal tone as well. I think the challenge,
I learned recently that the like humming and the vowels especially, it helps to activate that parasympathetic nervous system response, and like so helps you to calm down. And I'm sitting here thinking like, I really always did used to love singing the hymns at church. And it's not so much about the words, but it's just like the singing.
Yeah.
Also, singing in a group is extremely regulating.
Wait, so
if anyone's thinking about joining a choir, do it.
Do it. One thing that I'm wondering if this is what you're like getting to is the idea that like stimming, whether it's like physical stimming or like echolalia. Yeah. And especially because sometimes you could do that with other neurodivergent people. If these are just vagal tone, like those are raising your vagal tone. And that's why a lot of neurodivergent people like stimming.
They certainly could. I would argue that stimming is an act of self-soothing and regulating the nervous system, and also expelling energy. You know, part of, I think a huge part of the work that I do and the work that I'm continuing to do on myself as well, is like seeing emotional dysregulation as an opportunity to express something. Someone once said, I don't know who said it, but that the opposite of nervous system dysregulation is expression, or self-expression in some way. And I think there is some. It's not as simple as that, but I think there is a lot of truth to that, right? We have a system that is detecting, responding to our environment, responding to relationships, to what is going on inside and outside our body, right? And we have the body then puts it all together in our mind and goes, okay, this is how we feel about this, right? We have been so socially conditioned in so many different ways, and I could go deep into this.
We do a whole episode on that.
Yeah, right. To essentially, I guess, repress or hide or mask, however you want to frame it, a lot of our natural responses and our natural impulses. For example, with the fight response, I mean, it makes sense that maybe with the fight response, you get stuck there because you have encountered a lot of things that haven't been okay. People have crossed your boundaries and you're angry about it, but you can't express it. Right? So they get stuck as a perpetual stress cycle in your system. You get TMJ, you get chronic headaches, your fists start to hurt because you clench your hands, right? And because you sleep with your hands like this. I can't remember what they call the T-Rex, like sleeping like a T-Rex.
Or broken wrist syndrome.
Right? Yeah, right. That's the body speaking to us, and it's not anybody's fault. Like so many of us have not had the opportunity or the attunement to be able to express and move this energy through. So that is a huge part of this, is to really connect into how our body is responding to our experience and expressing what needs to be expressed in ways that of course are not harmful. But that's pretty, that's pretty straightforward.
I always like to talk about this, like your emotions and your fight or flight response. Like trying to ignore that is like trying to ignore a toddler who's trying to get your attention. Like it's not going to work. You're just going to make them more angry. And now they're like pushing you over to figure out like, when are you going to acknowledge me?
Yeah.
Give me my needs.
And then, if the stress cycle is going on I'm sure I don't know anyone who's not stressed at the moment. So I hope that feels like some sort of hug. It is extremely expensive to be stressed for the body. It's very resource intensive. And I think going back to what we were talking about earlier on about executive functioning and dopamine, is we know that downstream of, having cortisol in the system. So when we're stressed, our body gets pumped full of cortisol. Cortisol chews dopamine up, right? So if you are a person who is burnt out or has been stressed for a really long time and you are trying to increase your dopamine by doing X, Y, Z, you probably don't have any dopamine to use. So what I've seen happen, which honestly breaks my heart, is that people are like, I've been doing all these things to try and increase my dopamine and it doesn't feel good. I'm not feeling good about anything. And then they just feel bad about themselves, like something's wrong with them. No, you're just exhausted, right? You don't need to add things in. We need rest and support in how to rest, a huge part of the work. And I'm sure you guys can agree is like all of us know how to do more and all of the things that we can be doing, but learning how to do less and teaching our system that it's okay and safe to do less, I think, is a huge part of
Yeah. Well, right now when you said that, I couldn't help but think back to kind of a political conversation then of how we are primed from very young to that our value is about how much we contribute and output and the most we can do. Yeah.
100%. I think it's all about wherever you can rest. Doesn't have to look like lying on the couch and doing nothing. What it looks like is freedom, autonomy, connection to self, not forcing yourself to do anything, exploration.
I've been trying to do that every day.
Love that.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, so we're coming up on summer again. And I've got 2 kids. And every year for the last 5 years, summer has just been difficult. Because I just don't always have the capacity to constantly be entertaining children. Surprise, surprise. And I always feel like I don't spend enough time with them and this and that. And well, this summer I don't have 20 clients. So I'm going to be spending a lot of time with them. That comes with its own stresses. But I think, for the first time in several years, free to sort of arrange my summer how I want.
Yeah.
How does that sit for you? Because I was just thinking about sometimes I had a client the other day who's really just come and seen me and they live in the US as well. A huge part of it is navigating the unstructured time that comes with summer and the fear around that.
Yeah, not knowing the ambiguity around not having a plan is distressful. That might be one of the main reasons why neurodivergents are primed for PTSD, is because we just don't handle ambiguity very well.
Nobody does. Uncertainty is horrible for the nervous system. It's really, in my previous role in genetic counseling, I worked in IVF, and I've never been in a domain where there is so much uncertainty all the time.
Yeah.
It is pretty intolerable. I think that, bring it back. I wish I had some of these skills and some of this understanding back then, is because, what you can offer what you can build with this work is an internal sense of stability, so that instead of getting bowled over by the waves of, uncertainty and dread and anxiety and all those things, you can sort of plant your feet pretty firmly and be okay anyway, right? Again, it doesn't mean you like it, or there's no spiritual bypassing or anything like that. It is just essentially inner resourcing and creating more flexibility in the system.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
What it is.
My favorite phrase.
Yay!
Amazing.
Well,
Abbie, right. Thank you so much for coming and talking to us about the autonomic nervous system.
Part 1.
And Yeah, and just like
Yeah.
how to
Part 1 of 50.
Yeah.
how to try to be more calm, but also just like how to be more connected, how to be super connected.
Oh,
I see what you did there. Thanks again for coming, Abbie, and thank you all for listening. We're happy to have you all here.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Thanks for being here. If you want to connect with the Neurodivergent Report, you can find us at ND Report Pod on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky, Substack, etc.
If you're looking to support the show, the best thing you can do is subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Please do that.
And hey, if you want to check out more about us, visit our website at ndreportpod.com. And you can also go there if you want to be a guest contributor on the show.
Until next time, be well, do good.
Bye.